Has anyone ever done something so out of character that they deeply regret it? I do. I want to begin by sharing that I'm a trauma survivor, having endured both conversion therapy and sexual abuse. Conversion therapy stands out to be one of the most painful experiences that I've ever had in my life. I placed my trust in people who claimed they would help me build a better relationship with my father. Instead, they manipulated me into believing the harmful lie that my sexuality could be changed, and they had the answers to how to do that. I participated in a documentary called Conversion. During this time, I traveled to Portland and invited Yvette, a former leader in the ex-gay movement, to come and join me. Survivors of conversion therapy often avoid engaging with former leaders due to the pain and mistrust that stays around survivors. However, I approach this with a specific framework in mind, including some of the following principles that I live by. Number one, survivors should take the lead. Number two, understanding the history of conversion therapy from the perspective of its former leaders can provide valuable insight so we can work together. Number three, the platform and spotlight should be shared, so if there's anything that a former leader gets, at least know one survivor that is willing to do an interview. Number four, advocacy against conversion therapy should not be financially motivated. So I believe that former leaders of conversion therapists should not take money for doing interviews at all, period. And if they do have money, they should report it, and it should go to queer organizations, especially those that help fight conversion therapy like Truth Wins Out. My personal connection with Yvette stemmed from a desire to understand the history of conversion therapy through her lens. She had undergone years of therapy and demonstrated the willingness to reflect on her past, which I found meaningful. While I recognize that not all survivors are comfortable being in proximity with their former leaders, I felt that Yvette's genuine efforts to reconcile her actions warranted some attention. I had supported her work in Pray Away because out of all the former leaders, she seemed to be the sincerest in addressing her past. My intent was to view this complex space from multiple perspectives, but now I understand that my peers saw it differently. A lot of these people did some horrible things with the queer community, but we are in an advocacy space, and part of advocacy is knowing your history, specifically knowing the history of conversion therapy. The next day, while hanging out with Yvette, sadly, when my relationship had ended with the cast member, Dustin Rayburn, or Dusty Ray Bottoms, I was cursed out in front of everyone, and I felt very small. I couldn't eat. While everybody was having breakfast, I couldn't eat, and I felt differently than everyone else did. It also didn't help that I was the only Black person there because all of them were white and from the South and had vastly different ways of living, and I had different interests than all of them. It was an isolating experience, to say the least, but familiar because it was the same hierarchy that I found in conversion therapy. The cast met with me and forced me to sign a legal document under duress for me being a part of this documentary. I signed it since my big focus was to fight my conversion therapist and to keep the peace. However, my goals and the goals of some of my castmates ended up being very different than mine. This is where I first met Sam Brinton. In New York City, Sam used to work at the Trevor Project as their vice president of government and advocacy and affairs. Sam was the first point of contact where I saw this Vice documentary of conversion therapy, and I said to myself, I can do exactly what Sam does. I can do that.
Lost their lives because of the pain that they endured at the hands of these men.
Meeting Sam was something that I never really expected, but one thing that bothered me about Sam was the lack of consistency in Sam's story.
Sam had a remarkably colorful story, an insatiable appetite for media publicity, yet miraculously couldn't name his conversion torture therapist.
Physical therapy was my hands being tied down and blocks of ice being placed on my hands. Then pictures of men holding hands would be shown to me, so that way I would associate the concept of the pain of ice with a man touching me. It worked really, really, really well. My dad could barely even hug me anymore.
They allegedly went to this torture therapist for 2 to 3 years, yet could not identify them. There was no way to verify if their story was legitimate. I personally warned, no, begged NCLR and their Born Perfect campaign, that they must verify Brinton's testimony before using it. I said that if Brinton isn't who they say they are, it would undermine the reputations of our anti-conversion efforts. It would harm our network of survivors. NCLR, unfortunately, indignantly responded that we must believe all survivors, to which I replied, yes, we should trust, but shouldn't we also verify?
I remember we were all having breakfast and everybody was trying to have a good time. I just got cursed out. I was trying to make sure that everything was good, and I was trying to make sure that everybody was okay with me because I didn't want to have any drama. And then Sam just randomly said, I don't mean to brag, but I'm kind of a minor celebrity. And I was shocked because I don't do the fighting conversion therapy thing for some sort of celebrity or to be on TV. I fight it because I know what I have experienced was traumatic, and a lot of it has to do with sexual abuse, and that's probably the behaviors that you see is in reflection of me being sexually abused. I also want my story to be a guiding light for future legislation, strategies to fight conversion therapy, and for the public to learn how dark conversion therapy can get. The night in New York City was one of the highlights of my life, monumental. I, however, was about to lose my cool when Sam Brinton said, I can make anybody in this room cry, because I don't really want to make people cry. I want to inspire people to change and to welcome that queer person, young or old, that struggles with their identity, to be safe in an environment to come out and be safer to come out, because society doesn't really treat us very good, especially in the year of our Lord 2024. But mostly with me, I just wanted to be different. I wanted to say, you know what? I'm gonna post all this random stuff on social media that fits exactly my personality. I wanted to reflect how you could be yourself and do good things. I wanted to be different, and I should be valued with who I am and how far I came. I would expect my friends to do the same. I support you, you support me, we support each other. That's it. A week at home, I got a message from someone on an article with The Guardian involving Sam Brinton stealing luggage at airport carousels.
My name is Asia Idarus Khamsin, Tanzanian fashion designer based in Houston, Texas. On February 2018, I flew back from Tanzania with my collection of Lady in Red Fashion Show 2018, which is my annual platform. I was invited in Washington, D.C. to Kenyan community event who really support my work to showcase my designs. I flew from Houston to Washington, D.C. on March 9th, 2018. When I arrived in DCA, one of my bags was missing. I opened the claim to Delta office and DCA, and I made a police report in DCA airport, but my bag was not found. On December 2022, we saw on the Fox News about Sam Brinton luggage issue, and saw my custom-made designs word by Sam Brinton.
I messaged the director and felt that they were giving Sam so much more grace than what they were giving me. Since I had a feeling that something wasn't right about Sam's story, I felt like it was going to come out somehow. And it did, and that went viral too.
Now, it turns out that this human, as a couple things about this particular human. This particular human, one, declared that he was a victim of conversion therapy, but it's now turning out that that was crap, that he can't name the person who actually attempted to, quote unquote, convert him. He refuses to name the organization. Even people in the gay community are now looking at Sam Brinton going, we have no evidence that what you're saying is true.
There was a care and compassion towards Sam, but that care and compassion was never towards me. This resulted in me feeling further isolated from the cast and by myself. I had a following on TikTok that had approximately 16,000 followers. And it was really quick because I shared tiny bits and pieces of my story and promoting the documentary at the same time. I noticed that there were women on the left that were blending relationships with dangerous right-wing people that didn't like our community, debating drag and drag story time. Since Dustin was a drag queen with a high following, I didn't want any of our cast to be attacked, especially Dustin. This resulted in having a terrible meltdown that I couldn't erase even if I tried. So many things happened to me at once, and I started to break. I was sexually assaulted on a cruise ship at the time. My appendix was out, and I was attacked for a year straight from 9 in the morning until 3 in the morning by 30 different white people. Never had an opportunity to have a break. I'm sure if you look for it, you could probably find some negative stuff about me. And the truth is, I'm not everyone's favorite person. When you have been through a lot and you've seen a lot, you see things from perspectives and you see things from how you see the world. When I was leaving conversion therapy, I had somebody that I knew that was living in Ohio at the time. I was living in Canada. They would stalk me. They would go to my family's home and they would go to a sports bar that I would usually go to. I ended up leaving with him to live in the South, where he was holding me by the back of my neck. So he would hold me like this and he would hold me by the back of the neck, begging me to have sex with him until I finally did. I had a 6-month break for social media because I had a friend that had cancer, or that has cancer. He's still alive. Stage 4. I had to remove his lung. I also lost my place, and then I lost my home. I'm not blaming any of y'all, but just one traumatic thing after another, with the people that were supposed to be having my back just not really having my back. It was just, I'm not gonna lie, it really hurts. I want to have an opportunity for a little bit of justice. If you knew me, you would know that that's the main thing that I'm looking for, is a little bit of justice for us. I feel that we all deserve a little bit of justice. So this is for the people that have been bullying me relentlessly on TikTok. Know that you almost killed me. In June, I was actually in the hospital because I just had enough. Losing my place, losing my mind. Probably some of the most horrific experiences of my life were in the past year. I don't want to hate anybody. I don't want to hate any of those people that I was connected with on TikTok. I want to be safe. I want to not be around the hatred, and I don't want to have a debate with people who hate me or my friends' experiences. Our existence as queer people are not up for debate. We are going to exist. Have I said and done wrong things? Sure. We all have. No matter what I said, you wanted to put me at risk because you never cared about me to begin with. I am, like some of you, a trauma survivor. I reacted out of trauma. And guess what? I am still standing and trying to live my life and be happy. I deserve to be happy. Survivors deserve to be happy. We are survivors for a reason. We are very resilient people with deep wounds and big hopes for change. When I tell you no, it's not because I don't want you to speak. I don't want to get hurt. Try to be more understanding. That's what an ally should do. Be more understanding. To the cast of Conversion, thank you for your experience. No thank you for the way that you treated me. I felt like I was your diversity hire. Whereas you've done some nice things for me, a lot of the times you and your team treated me like I was a second-class citizen. You treated me like you were better than me, and I assure you, you are not better than me. We are supposed to be peers. Hey Dustin, I remember in New York, I heard you say that your story isn't compelling as some of the other stories that you hear. I want to say that what you've been through is traumatic. Don't treat any other survivors like you would treat them at, for example, a church. We are trying to get rid of the power dynamics in conversion therapy spaces, not redevelop it in a conversion therapy survivor space. I had many people that were that are leaders and former leaders of conversion therapy that tried to pull the exact same stunts that you tried to pull on me, Dustin. Slow down. I'm a human being. Treat me like a human being. And I assure you, you are just as angry as I am, but I am more honest about it than what you'll ever be. I regret what I did online, but guess what? Life goes on. I'm not going to be the last person that does something embarrassing online. I will keep talking about how harmful conversion therapy is because the new administration will enable it. The next video will be soon, so please subscribe, give this a like, and boost the algorithm. And let's talk about it. Stay tuned for my next posting. Until next time. One more thing to add to Chronicle Cinema. Can you tell your makeup artist that if you're going to do anybody else's makeup to wash your hands first because her fingers smell like